Good day, duelists, and welcome to this Duel Masters unboxing video. Today we are cracking up this beautiful product, the DM06 Stompatons of Invincible Wrath 2-player starter set. As most of you might know, most Duel Master sets came with 60 cards, but 3 of them, namely DM01, DM06 and DM010, were big core sets with 120 cards each, and with each of those core sets they released a 2-player starter set that was meant to act as a starting point for onboarding new Duel Masters players. The first one, the iconic blue box, I also have here and I'll be unboxing in a later video, so stay tuned for that. But for this video we are looking at the red box. We'll see all that it contains, the cards inside and everything else, and see together if it ended up doing a good job or not at its mission of onboarding new players. Let's start by taking off the foil. And there we go, beautiful in all of its glory. The box itself, of course, it has the Duel Masters logo over here at the top. At the front we see Bometia Steel Dragon, one of the main cards from this set, from DM06. And we see our deck over here with the exclusive premium card display, which is a foil Pyrofighter Magnus that we will of course see better once we crack open the box. Then over here on the side we see some iconic cards from this DM06 set, of course Craze Valkyrie, Overlord Cluster, Shuka and Bliss Totem Avatar of Luck. On the other side we see this description of the set. We see the products that were released together with it, which are the 2 theme decks that I have unboxed on this channel. You can go check that out if you'd like. And also, of course, you can buy booster packs to give you even more strategic options. And on the back, my favorite part of these boxes is reading these descriptions. It says, enter the battle zone, bust open this starter set, and find out why thousands of players just like you are entering the world of the Duel Masters trading card game and winning big. No other game combines super powerful creatures, mind-warping spells, amazing art, and exclusive premium cards. I mean, I think there's a few games that did that back in the day as well, but whatever. And over here we see what the box is supposed to contain. First of all, it has the most important part, 2 20-card training decks that can be combined into one tournament deck. So this is how they did this 2-player starter set. It's actually one full deck, but it's sort of split into 2 half decks that you can pitch against each other if you so desire. So this is how they sort of onboarded the new players. The selling pitch was sort of that you can just buy one of these and play it together with your friend by using the 2 half decks that were given out. Then you should also get one deck box, which I'm not too confident in how good quality it will be as a deck box, but we'll see. One exclusive Duel Masters Pyrofighter Magnus premium card that we saw over here at the front. Then one rulebook, one Duel Masters playmat, we'll see what that's about, one DMAX membership offer, which of course is completely worthless now in 2025, and one bonus pack of booster cards, which I am very excited to open up. Maybe we get some good pulls out of it. There is another sticker over here that we have to remove. And there we go, it's time to open up the box that comes in this nice sort of plastic container. And taking it all out, we have everything that we need over here, starting with the deck box, which, you know, it's actually not all that bad. I think honestly it's better quality than the deck boxes that come today with MTG precons, but maybe that's just me, and it just looks kinda cool. It has all sorts of creatures from Stompatrons over here on the deck box, and you can use this. Of course it's not going to hold a fully sleeved deck, but it is something. Of course it's just made of cardboard and you probably have deck boxes already if you are collecting Duel Masters cards, but it's a nice quality of life inclusion that does look kinda cool. Next up, we have the playmat, I guess this is. Let's see. Whoa. It's actually quite big. It's actually a full-on 2-player playmat, and it barely fits on my desk, so I can't actually show you a full preview of it. Maybe like this? Yeah, there we go. Okay, so this is the full playmat over here. It's quite big and quite large, and actually that's a nice surprise, I guess. It's actually a usable playmat that you could use when playing with your friends. And it has everything, like it has the shield zone, the mana zone, and also over here on the left side, maybe let's go back to the zoomed in view, it has a setup guide that explains you what you need to do before the game, and then all of the flow of the game. You untap all your cards, draw a card, put a card in your mana zone, and then it explains you. Let me just maybe... Yeah, I had to fold this so I could properly handle it. It explains you the rules of the game, it explains you what creatures and spells are, and it also explains you how to attack shields and the win condition. So this is actually quite interesting. Like, you could just have this, play on it with 2 players, and it's actually a big, decent playmat. And if you're a new player, you always have this at the left-hand side, which you can always have a glance at, and if you forget some ruling or how to play or what you have to do, you can always just quickly glance at this and know exactly how the game works. So I think this playmat, for what it is actually a really nice surprise. And also, at the back, it has this beautiful image with the cards here in the middle, and then all of the cards from the Stompatron, or no, never mind, it's some representative cards from each of the sets. Like, we have base set cards over here, Evo Crushinators, Rampage, Stompatrons, Shadow Clash, and over here Survivors. So you can actually sort of see I mean, everything that you could get inside the game. And also over here, if we turn it around, we have a full collectible list of all of the cards released up to that point. So of course you can always use this if you want to check off your thing. It's got 4 tick marks next to each card because you could have up to 4 copies of each card in your deck. So that's very nice. Actually, this playmat, for what it is quite some added value to the box. I really like this. This is a nice surprise. They did put a lot of thought behind their products, and you can really see that there was quite a lot of like love and passion behind this Duel Masters game, which is why I still love it to this day. And moving on from the ginormous playmat that took quite some time to put away, we have this rulebook. Stop! Don't read these rules until you've played a few games on the playmat. So this is the advanced rules for the advanced player. So I guess the basics were written on the playmat, and then over here we have a set of advanced rules. So they probably go into some rulings question and such and such. I accidentally cut into this D-Max membership offer, but that's not the worst thing in the world. I mean, there's not really a lot that we can do with this anyway. And we have, of course, first of all, the booster pack that we are going to be saving aside for later. And then the advanced rulebook. Let's see what sort of advanced rules we find in here. It's quite interesting. There's actually some interesting reads here. It's like, of course, first of all, it teaches you the basic rules, but in a little bit more words. I will just scroll through these pages, so in case you want to pause and read, feel free to do so. But of course, yeah, there's actually, like, it goes into quite some detail. It even goes into, okay, how to summon an evolution creature. It tells you that they don't have summoning sickness. It tells you, like, even a lot of frequently asked questions. For example, like, yeah, there's no limit to the number of evolution creatures you can put on top of each other, and if an evolution creature is moved from the battle zone to anywhere else, then the whole pile moves, which is something that a lot of people ask. They go into the attack order, and yeah, even some players today don't know things like how exactly this works. You first choose what to attack, then tap the creature, then attack effects happen, and then only then the attack actually goes through. And it goes into a whole bunch of different scenarios on how this would work, which I really like. It goes into keywords, which is like, you know, blocker, crew breaker, double breaker, and so on. Did you know only creatures that have blocker can block attacks? I guess that's a reminder for Magic the Gathering players. How to build your deck, I guess, some tips. Expert rules, can and can't. When one effect says that something can happen, another says it can't, the can't effect wins. That's actually quite cool, and it does pop up in some examples. Playing with more than 2 players. I never knew they had official rulings for this. Actually, maybe I will read up on this, and they have a free-for-all variant and a team variant, but of course Duel Masters was never designed with multiplayer in mind. You have a glossary of all of the different keywords and effects that you can just look up and read at a glance. And again, I think this rulebook does a really good job of pretty much comprising like everything that you need to know into just this one little tiny booklet that you could carry around on you. Back in the days when we didn't have internet where you could look up this stuff, I mean, this was a real godsend. And then of course we have the complete card list once again, but I think this one is, yeah, it's just for Stompatrons of Invincible Wrath, so you can collect this set and mark it over here. More questions, more answers, and more, scenarios that can happen, and some contact information over here, which is probably way out of date. This is really nice. This is a really nice booklet for starting players, but not only. Like some of the things here, even, advanced players sometimes don't know or forget about. So really nice that they managed to put it all into this small little booklet that you could conceivably just carry around, and whenever you have some sort of something that's unclear, you could just look it up over here. And then the main contents is the 2-player half decks, or rather I should say the 2 1-player half decks. So there's 2 decks of 20 cards each. You can tell that they're kind of thin. And then of course we have the premium exclusive card, which is a Pyrofighter Magnus. So in theory, the whole deck is 41 cards if you combine these two plus the Pyrofighter Magnus that you get. Look at it, it's absolutely beautiful, the foiling effect on this one. And of course, Pyrofighter Magnus, a very iconic and very strong card as well. Let's see what these 2 decks contain. I'm gonna be real careful when opening this one because unlike with the DMC membership or whatever, the cards I really don't want to damage. Of course, they're not gonna be, they're not gonna give you like super rare cards inside the starter product, but they're still Duel Masters cards and deserve to be treated with respect. So the first player's deck is a nature plus water deck. So you'll see that this one contains different civilizations. I think it's nature plus light, but I can't remember, we will have to look. And you have a whole bunch of creatures. Now, one thing that you will notice, even starting with the card that is a rare from base set, Trihorn Shepherd, sometimes weeks pass before it realizes it has a gourd enemy stuck to its horns. Something that you might realize is that a lot of cards are just very simple, right? They are vanillas. Also, this card is a bit... has a bit of an imperfection here. I'm not sure if you can see it on camera, but whatever. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. A lot of these cards have these, they're very simple. They're mostly vanillas or have very simple effects, because keep in mind the point of this deck was to onboard new players, to teach new players how to play. And of course, once you got a bit familiar, you could move on to the other precons, which had like a theme to them and a strategy and more complex creature effects. But for this deck, you will see that a lot of them are just vanillas or have very simple effects. So like Trihorn Shepherd, Featherhorn, 2 of them. Of course, it's really nice that they still have the beautiful Duel Masters art that we have come to know and love. And yeah, of course, a lot of them will be cards from Stompatrons because they have to market the new set, like Illusion Berry. You do get a Sword Butterfly, a couple of Sword Butterflies, and Sword Butterfly is actually like quite a strong card. It gets up to 5,000 power while attacking. I used to love this card as a kid, and I still do. And like when I play, for example, Shadow of the Code or old video games, we have 3 Burning Mains, of course, a classic. So you do get quite some cards from other sets. Quite some cards from base set. You get King Coral, and again, just like a very basic card that sort of teaches you the blocker mechanic, right? And for spells, again, we don't want to give new players anything too complicated, so Virtual Tripwire, which just taps one thing on the board, Spiral Gate, which is of course a very strong spell, played in top tier decks as well, even nowadays. It sends a creature to hand. Then we have some more blockers in Aqua Shooter, and again, it's blockers that can attack for the water civilization, and then some more vanillas, 2 mana 1000 Steam Star. And I guess again, it's something that they want to teach players, that nature is supposed to be like have more power than water, and water is not really based on the strength of their creatures but more on their effects and such. So they included a burning main that has 2000 power, and the steam star that for the same cost has 1000 power. So this is the deck that you would be playing with as one of the players, and the second player would get this other half of the deck, which once again I don't 100% remember, but I think it was a nature and light deck. So let's see. Oh no, never mind. Yeah, it's nature and fire. Of course it is. It needs fire for the Pyrofighter Magnus. So this deck has way fewer nature cards. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 nature cards. So the color balance is not quite there. If you're playing this deck, it's going to be a bit difficult to get these nature cards going. But then again, it's 20 cards and it's like 2 civilizations, so you don't really need that much color consistency. But you have Enchanted Soil, which puts 2 creatures from your graveyard into the mana zone. Some Fear Fangs, more vanillas, classic vanillas, 3 mana for 3000. And Carrier Shell as well. It's a 3 mana 2000 with power attacker plus 3000, so it's like a Sword Butterfly, but it's different. It's from Stompatrons. It's interesting because it's like equivalent cards to the other half of the deck, but they're different, right? You have Carrier Shell, in the other deck you had Sword Butterfly, you have Fear Fang, in the other deck you had Illusion Berry, so it shows that there are some variations in the creatures that you can play. We have Slumber Shell, which again is just a 2 mana vanilla, and now for spells, of course, we have some Destruction in Fire, Tornado Flame, Spastic Missile, Meteosaur, which I think, yeah, all of these 3 cards, they serve to teach players, I guess, that fire has, like, one of the main mechanics of fire is power-based removal. Then we have some power attackers in Super Explosive Volcanodon, Automated Weapon Master Makai, again, another Stompatron's card, some more classic cards, Fire Sweeper, Burning Hellion, of course, Explosive Dojo, more vanillas, and 3 Pikora's Wrench to top things off. So none of these 2 half decks sharing any cards at all. One of the half decks has its own unique set of cards, and then of course you can combine them to have a fully fledged deck. I will say I never actually played these 2 half decks together. I did play the deck as a whole. In fact, I have a series with all of the precons from the English game of Duel Masters, duking it out against each other in a tournament format. So if you want to check out that, you can definitely do that. But if I were to play these 2 half decks against each other, I definitely think that the fire plus nature half has more of a punch to it, just because it doesn't have like these weak things like Virtual Tripwire, King Coral, and Aqua Shooter. I think these are just kind of terrible cards. And its vanilla cards are just stronger. Even its removal, it has Meteosaur, Spastic Missile, Tornado Flame. I think definitely the Fire plus Nature half of the deck would be favored in a direct 1-to-1 confrontation, especially if you add Pyrofighter Magnus as an extra card to that half deck. But that's just my guess. I haven't actually played against these, and it's probably more so like luck of the draw, because it's basically only vanillas. The only abilities that are here are blocker and power attacker, and sometimes some removal options like Spiral Gate, Tornado Flame, and whatnot. So as you can see, overall the deck is just very, very simplistic. Even if you put it together as one full deck, it is very simple. Is it strong? Could you, like, as a kid, conceivably take this, you know, after you've played with your friend with the 2 half decks, could you combine them into one full deck and take it to a card store or to the school playground to play against other people? Well, that's difficult to tell. I will say, I said I wouldn't spoil how this deck did in the tournament against other precon decks, but I have played with precons quite a little bit. Like, now as an adult, I collect precons and I play with them, and I can say that out of all of the 2-player starter sets, this one is probably the most disappointing one, as regrettable as it is, in terms of card quality, because again, you have some really crappy cards like Steam Star, Virtual Tripwire, Aqua Shooter, King Corals. You will be just very sad when you get these cards. And like, if you compare it to the first Duel Master starter set, so this one, the blue box, this one just had more going for it, I think. If you just wanted to get card quality alone, you would probably have a more competitive deck with this version than with the DM06 one. But that being said, this deck is also not bad, and for a new player, you know, it's easy to play, it's easy to pilot, it's not horrible. Like, you can still win out, you know. In Duel Masters, you can always just summon a Burning Mane on turn 2, summon a Fear Fang on turn 3, and then just start breaking shields, and maybe that's good enough, you know, with the Pyrofighter Magnus to swing from time to time. I think it can be decent, but, you know, I wouldn't put any money on it. That said, for a new player, is this a good product? I would say definitely. If you are getting into the game, you know, back in the day, if you're a kid and was just looking for something to buy, the fact that it comes with this beautiful playmat that I'm not gonna be opening up again, with the explanation on the side that you could actually use to play, and this rulebook that, again, is still useful even for experienced players. I would say there's some interesting things to read up in here. I think the value proposition is definitely hard to deny. I think if you just had to buy one product and then sort of take it out and duel it out against friends, you could not go wrong with the starter sets, any of them really. I would still probably prefer the DM01 starter set over this one, but maybe that's just my personal preference. Some cards in here are definitely cooler, like Pyrofighter Magnus, right? That being said, there is still one more thing that we need to do before ending the video, which is opening up this DM06 booster pack. And let's see if we get anything decent out of it. Would really love to pull some of the super rares. A Bometheus would be absolutely fantastic, but of course, realistically, that is probably not going to happen. We have a puzzle piece over here, and let's go. We have, ooh, Zorvas the Bone Crusher. It's a common, but it's a pretty good common at that. It's 5 mana for 6,000, for an 8,000 rather, blocker, which can't attack, and when it battles, destroy it after it battles, so it's just a Bloody Skeeto on super steroids, but importantly, it's a demon command, so like, it's a sort of cheap-ish demon command for 5 mana, so like in a Bagam deck, if you wanted to build a Bagam deck, which is a card that came out in Stompatrons, you could really use this card. Sorry, Bagam did not come out in Stompatrons, I meant by Stompatrons it was out. Next up, we have Choya the Unheeding. It's 2 mana, power attacker 1000, and when this creature becomes blocked, no battle happens. I never really got this card. I think its use cases are just way too limited, even for a new player. Balas, Vizier of Electrons. This card I like because it's just a good vanilla creature, and of course it's an initiate. Initiates is probably like my favorite race in Duel Masters. For the first time since the Megapocalypse, the Forces of Light launched a full-fledged invasion of the planet's surface. The fire troops had no chance but to retreat. Interesting that they dropped the Hanusa Radiance Elemental quotes. I never really noticed that, but on the classic initiates, it always had these Hanusa quotes like, Vizier of Lightning, arise, your eyes are as bright as whatever the fuck, I'll put it up on screen. It seems like they dropped it, I don't know when, but by this set they seem to have stopped doing it. Mighty Bandit, Ace of Thieves, always a nice card to see. 3 mana 2000, which has the utility that it can give one of your creature plus 5000 power to trade into basically anything. Spiral Gate with the pink hair, the best Spiral Gate artwork, of course a great card to have. And we have a very rare, we actually pulled a foil from this, and it's an interesting foil at that. It's an Invincible Cataclysm. It's part of the Invincible series of spells that cost 13 mana, and you can choose 3 of your opponent's shields and put them into the graveyard. So it's breaking 3 shields at once, but it's better than breaking them because it puts them directly into the graveyard. Interestingly enough, the card is a bit misaligned. Like, you can see it's much, like the top is much higher than the bottom. Is it fake? I don't think it's fake. The card feels right to me. So I guess it's just a bit of a misprint. I don't usually see misprinted cards, but there we go. The foiling does look correct, and nothing else about the card screams anything, so yeah, it's interesting. We put a bit of a misaligned foil, which doesn't happen very often. This one is quite rare, I guess. But anyway, the flavor text said, the brutal forces of light level the capital of the Fire Realm, but deep in the mountains, the Fire Doomsday weapon waits to take revenge. Interesting. Very cool that we pulled a foil out of our pack. Then we have King Triumphant for a rare. 8 mana, 7000. Whenever your opponent summons a creature or casts a spell, this creature gets blocker until the end of turn. So it's like an 8 mana, 7000 blocker, I guess, that can attack. Leviathans were always weird. Then Moontear Spectral Knight. I always liked this card. I always thought that I could make this card playable somehow. You need to cast a spell to summon it, which makes it quite restrictive, but I think there's some use cases for it. Then Neon Cluster. I used to absolutely love this card as a kid. 7 mana for 4000 and you can tap it to draw 2 cards, which can lead to insane card advantage. And finally, Bazooka Mutant. This creature can only attack creatures that have blocker and cannot attack players. Not a great card, but it's a blocker slayer in case you need one. And that is our pack pull. I am very happy that we managed to take out a foil on cam for this Invisible Cataclysm, a misaligned foil at that, which does make it significantly more interesting as well. And as you might have seen at the start of the video, I have 2 more of these, which I will be opening off cam, but I will open the packs right now in this video as well. So, we have 2 more packs to open up. Let's see what we get from these ones. Hopefully we pull some good things, but already like 1 foil is pretty good, so I don't have high hopes. But let's see, maybe we get something interesting from these ones as well. So, another puzzle piece. Of course, I have all of these puzzle pieces, so I don't really need them. But anyway, let's open up Phantom Dragon's Flame with the best Phantom Dragon's Flame artwork, I think at least. Let's just put the foils over here. Then Ves the Oracle, a card I was missing for the longest of times for my Starnoid deck. Slumber Shell. Then we have Madrillion Fish, one of the cards of the childhood. Everyone had this card because we had Romanian Fakes and Madrillion Fish was one of them. Death Smoke, of course, a classic. And let's see. Oh! Whoa, we got a Valiant Warrior Exorius. I actually don't have this card in my collection. And this is a good card. 2 out of 2 foils. That is just quite crazy. This card can attack untapped creatures and it has power attacker plus 3000. I was actually missing this card and I believe I recently ordered one of them. Had I known I would open one, I obviously wouldn't have. But it is a pretty decent card for control decks, and our rare is Living Citadel Vosh, which makes your nature creatures be able to tap to ramp you up in mana. And Rain of Arrows, another very interesting card against Darkness decks specifically. We have Adomis the Oracle, and our final card is a Kokolupia, which is another great pull, very good for Dragons decks, and I know this card is quite valuable since Dragon decks really need it. And on to our final pack. It would be absolutely crazy to pull 3 out of 3 foils, but yeah, that sounds heavily unlikely. But anyway, puzzle piece once again. And let's see, another Death Smoke. And a Choya the Unheeding. Then we have a Yuluk the Oracle, another one of those that you can only summon if you've cast a spell that I think it has quite a bit of potential, but I'm not sure about it. Trench Scarab and Prometheus Q. I think this was the foil slot, so it seems like we're not getting a foil in this one, but it is what it is. We got 2 foils. And our rare is a Charmeleon the Enticer, which is another great card, very playable card, I think. It allows you to search up a lot of things. Then a Bliss Totem Avatar of Ra. Goddamn, our pulls have been pretty good from these 3 packs. A Proclamation of Death, not a horrible card. And our last one is another Rain of Arrows. So there we go, from 3 packs we pulled these 2 foils, which I'm really happy with. I mean, two foils from 3 packs, really good. Of course, no Prometheus, but still quite some good pulls. And there we go, that was my unboxing of these DM06 starter packs. Overall, I think it was a very good product for its time. Of course, nowadays it's very difficult to find since the game is no longer being made, but I'm quite happy with how this unboxing turned out. I was very happy to see the contents of these boxes because obviously I couldn't remember what the box contained off the top of my head. The playmat especially was a very good surprise. And of course, our pose from the boosters were also really nice. So, I hope you enjoyed watching this as much as I enjoyed making it. Let me know in the comments down below, and until next time, duelists, take care.